Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Wistia. Take control of your video marketing with powerful tools and analytics built specifically for business. Go to wistia.com/twist to get your free Wistia account today. And by Mandrill, the best way to send transactional email from the people who make MailChimp. Sign up today at mandrill.com. And by Amazon Web Services. Get the resources you need to easily get started with AWS Activate, a new global program for startups, including AWS credits, training, developer support, a startup community forum, and special offers from third parties. Learn more and sign up at aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis. Today on the program, the founder of Mogul is joining us. They're a really interesting loyalty program where you eat at certain restaurants and then they give 10% back, and you decide how much of that 10% you want to give to feed people who are hungry and in need. It's not a benefit corp yet, but it's similar to Hand Up, and it might wind up being a benefit corp. So we have a theme brewing now in This Week in Startups again about technologists giving back and not being huge douches. Stick with us. It's going to be an amazing episode.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's This Week in Startups. You know the program. This is the program where I, Jason Calacanis, interview successful, up-and-coming entrepreneurs, people starting companies, people trying to put a dent in the universe, people trying to create something of value in the world. Every week, we do a news roundtable on Fridays, and on Tuesdays, I interview some interesting person that producer Gina or I, or one of you, the loyal fans, have found for us to interview and talk to them about what they want to manifest in the world, right? It's that simple. That's what entrepreneurs do. They take an idea and then they make it exist. It's that simple. There are people in the world who are rice pickers, and then there are people who are samurais. There are people who just go out there and do nothing day after day like mindless drones. And then there are people who say, I believe this should exist in the world, and I will manifest my vision into reality. That's what this show is about. Where the hell have you been? Maybe you were one of those rice pickers. Maybe you're picking rice right now for somebody. And maybe you're tired of it. And maybe it's time for you to stand up and say, I have an idea. Or I know there's other group of people who have an idea that they're trying to manifest in the world, and I'm going to join a team. And I'm going to get off the pine and get in the game, coach. And I'm going to try to make something happen in the world. Maybe that's the moment you're living in right now. Huh? Am I coming through 5 by 5? I bet I am. It's time. It's time for you to maybe try to change the world instead of just being a cog in the wheel. Step out of the matrix. Or stay in the matrix. Ignorance is bliss. Enjoy it. Just, get your Netflix, fire it up, watch a couple of movies, and then go back to the hive the next day and milk some honey, and then go home and watch some Hulu and play some Call of Duty, go to bed, and listen, all of a sudden you're going to look back 50 years of your life are going to be gone. And you'll have nothing. You've created nothing in the universe. I'm sorry. I'm having one of those days. And listen, I'm having one of those years. It's 2014. And listen, if you want to start your journey, here's the thing you can do. Come to This Week in Startups Live. Be my guest. It's incredibly expensive. It's $2 a ticket, which is our way of making sure that people don't scalp the tickets or buy a whole bunch. But anyway, I'm going to have, it's your last chance because the ticket's going to run out. Friday, January 10th, which is this Friday, in San Francisco. I am going to be interviewing Nick Bilton and Brad, the two authors of the Twitter and the Amazon book. So it's going to be a really great discussion about how companies get big from two world-class journalists on one stage. Go to TWiST Live. This is just too long of a URL for me to read. What am I reading here? TWiST Live SF1.eventbrite.com. Can we possibly make it harder for me to read that? Here we go. TWiST Live SF1.eventbrite.com. Or you can just email Gina at launch.co. How's that? No, seriously. Go to TWiST Live SF1.eventbrite and come to this event. It's going to be great. It's this Friday. It's like our gift back. I don't know, like 100, 200 people come, and it winds up being great. The launch festival is coming up February 24th, 25th, and 26th in San Francisco, and we'll have a big announcement about it tomorrow. But basically, I'll tell you now, Mark Cuban is coming, and he hasn't been on the stage for years. So this is going to be a great get, and he's a good friend of mine. He's invested in 2 of my businesses, and he's a legend, obviously. So again, there's somebody who's manifesting a lot of stuff in the world and, has never really sat on the bench and been a drone or a rice picker. He's in the game. So go to festival.launch.co, festival.launch.co. All right, listen, on the program today, John Carter is here. He is the founder of Mogul. You can go check that out right now, as long as you're not driving down the 405 at mogl.com, mogl.com. So, hey, John, tell me, what is Mogul?
So Mogul is a dining rewards program. Really, really easy to use. It's powered off of any credit or debit card you already have. So you just sign up on the app, you link up your credit or debit card, and then you go to eat at participating restaurants. We've got a couple thousand in California already and some in Phoenix as well. And every time you use your credit or debit card there, it automatically tracks it, gives you 10% cash back. If it's a Visa card, right now it happens within minutes, sometimes within seconds of paying your bill. And then you're presented with a little slider. It says, hey, you just earned 10% cash back, maybe $5. And you get to decide how much of that you want to keep for yourself or how much you'd like to donate to people who are facing hunger right in your city, right in your community.
So it's a 10% reward program. It's a big number, isn't it?
It is. But, a lot of restaurants are sort of already used to that. Sort of the buy 10, get 1 free is very popular in that field. So it's kind of along the same lines.
And so who are you competing with, as it were? Because here I have the app, and I'm pulling it up, and it's like, hey, here's a bunch of restaurants. But it's not obviously every restaurant. So there's a subset of restaurants. And I'm a foodie, so my default is I go to Yelp and I say hot and new, or I just do a rating and, sort backwards. This is not that. But I do see you have a couple places like Fresh Brothers Pizza, which I like, actually. They got good vegan pizza there.
Nice.
And a couple other places here that are actually not so bad. But how do you deal with the signaling issue? Because the people who typically want to do these kind of programs are typically the people who need customers, which a logical person would then say, hey, maybe these are not the top-tier restaurants. Can you get top-tier restaurants to do this or no?
Thankfully, we can. And I think there's a couple.
Have you?
Yeah, we have. So
what's the highest profile restaurant you think?
So if you know some of the places up in the Bay Area, we have the Coletto Group up there, which is like Water Bar and Epic Roast House, and some of those are great ones. In San Diego, we've got some really amazing ones too. That's where we're from. That's where I'm from. So we have like Poseidon, which is right on the beach and one of the best places to grab some food and some drinks. So we have been able to get some of the higher end ones, and I think the reason is a couple fold. First off, it's a really nice technology that runs in the background for restaurant owners. So unlike some of these sort of digital punch cards you see a lot nowadays where you have to check in on an iPad or a QR code, you have to scan that.
It's work.
Yeah, it's work, and it's something on the countertop. That doesn't really work for
also,
great
it makes you feel like a cheap bastard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is why I grew up in the restaurant business. My dad would never do this kind of stuff. He would always give people like a free drink or something. He hated these kind of programs. And the reason was he felt, I believe, I'm going to speak for my dad here, but it was almost like emasculating for him to like be like a tough guy from Brooklyn and be like, yeah, I'll take a steak and give me a drink. I'll have a martini and here's my Groupon. It's just like, really? You're like, because like a guy in Brooklyn, you're buying dinner for everybody. You don't want to like, let's say you were taking another couple out and you pull out your 2-for-1 voucher.
Or a business lunch.
And it's like, oh yeah, I picked this restaurant because I got a free dessert for us. Like, you really feel like...
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
There's no question about it.
There's the word I'm looking for.
It is embarrassing, and that's one of the great things about Mogul is it's completely discreet. So you just do exactly what you do right now.
How is it discreet? Explain the technology to me, because I don't understand. I signed up today. You put your credit card in.
Yeah.
I go to one of the restaurants, but then it automatically gives me 10% back. How?
Automatically, yeah. So it's tracked on your credit or debit card. So we have relationships with Visa, MasterCard, and Amex. So you actually do exactly what you do today. When you go into a restaurant and you pay your bill, that's it. Yeah. And then basically goes into the interwebs or wherever, and Amex says, hey, Jason just spent a bunch of money at Fresh Brothers, and then we alert you on the app saying, hey, Jason, you just earned some cash back. So it all happens behind the scenes, and in fact, it's so easy and discreet that you'll use it, like now that you're signed up. You'll go to a restaurant, you won't even know it's on Mogul, you just do what you normally do.
Right.
All of a sudden, bzz, you'll get an alert on your phone, it's like you just earned cash back, and then you get the slider to keep it or donate it.
So American Express and Visa, MasterCard gave you the ability to do this, or
Correct.
some third party made this?
Well, originally
technology?
we were working with third parties, and lately we're really happy to announce we just got direct with Visa, which means now it happens within minutes, sometimes within seconds. It used to take a few days.
So
with the third
Visa
parties.
is doing something on their side where their database is saying if it's sort of like an if-then statement, like if this credit card
This restaurant-
is
yep,
or
we give them
this
all the
restaurant-
credit cards,
yeah.
all the restaurants, and they do all the matching for us. So I can't actually see any other purchases you make.
Right.
I can only see the ones that are at participating Mogul
what
restaurants.
motivates Visa to do that?
So I think they're trying to figure out ways to monetize the data and to kind of get involved in all of these sort of apps and everything else that's happening. So they are all just starting to open it up. We're in February, we'll have Amex and MasterCard live as well. And I think we'll be the first company probably in the world to have real-time tracking on all three platforms. I know that Shopkick has Visa as well. But I think we'll be the first one on all three. It's brand new. I mean, they're just starting to kind of open up those doors. And they want established companies, so it helps that we've raised $20 million, have 50 employees. All those kind of things help. And we've been working with them in some regard for years now. And it's just sort of finally getting to the part where they're playing nice. And now we have this really cool technology.
It feels like a tremendous innovation like that because it feels like the whole rewards program was always limited by it being too hard or embarrassing. Hey, when we get back from the commercial break, I want you to talk about this long list of failures that my producers got here. You've got a long list of getting your ass kicked, don't you?
Yes, I've definitely had my ass kicked many
All right, so when we
times.
get back, John is going to be I like this guest. Good job, Gina. John is going to come back and tell me about his ass kicking before he had this great success with Mogul after this great commercial break. All right, yeah, bring that Angelino in here. Thank you, Gina. Producer Gina, everybody.
Yum.
Listen, we have a new sponsor, and I am tickled pink about it. It's Wistia. Wistia is a great product that allows me to not have to put my videos just on YouTube. I can have a dedicated video player. It's super affordable. It's super easy. And Wistia has the most kick-ass metrics I've ever seen for video. And I heard about this because I was like, I want to have like a higher quality player. And I was like, maybe I got to use Vimeo. But I was like, Vimeo doesn't have the features I want. And it's like, it's still their site. I kind of want like a white label solution for This Week in Startups where we can have a bigger player that's crisper and HD by default, or, I can do certain things. And I just asked on my Twitter, I was like, what's the best like white label video hosting platform? I got bombarded by hundreds of people saying, Wistia, Wistia, Wistia. I said, all right, shut up about the Wistia already. I'll go look into it myself. I look into the Wistia, Wistia, Wistia. And I see this statistic. And look at this. I can see all the people down to an IP level and how much of the program they watched. And I can see their IP address, or they can log in. I can see it's from San Francisco or Great Britain or PT, wherever the hell that is, San Jose, Bergenfield, New Jersey. We're very strong in Jersey, by the way. But then there's this really interesting thing. I can put a little, and you guys may have seen this when you're looking at the videos of the show. I'm sorry I'm so excited about this, but we put a little roadblock up, and go to wistia.com/twist to see all this. We put a little roadblock up that says, hey, if you want to get more information about the show, put your email in. So we can add it to our MailChimp list. I don't mean to mix advertisers, but listen, I got the best advertisers in the world because I got the best program about startups in the world. I earned it. I earned these advertisers and partners. God damn it. I earned them. And I am so lucky. Sorry, John. You got to be straight here when I'm going on my rant, John. How am I supposed to do the commercial?
Keep going. You're doing a great job.
Thank
You're
you,
killing it.
John.
You're killing it.
Thank you
Crushing.
for the support. Crushing it. Anyway, you put up this goddamn roadblock, and the people then opt. They can skip it, but it says like, hey, you want to get more information? Put the email in there. So I'm like, producer Gina, do this. She's like, hey, we're getting 20 emails. We're getting 30 emails a week. We have 40 emails a week. I'm like, God damn it. And she's like, what? I'm like, why didn't we do this 5 effing years ago? Is what I said to her. Because if we did it 5 years ago, I would have all those emails. And as you know, I love having direct email with my constituents because email is power. Oh my God. I'm getting so worked up about this. MailChimp, Moz, the SEO Moz guys, Blank Label, everybody uses Wistia. I mean, look at this incestuousness. A great company like MailChimp uses Wistia. Wistia must love MailChimp. I love both of them. And there's 50,000 customers of this goddamn product. Amazing analytics, capture the email addresses before or after a video plays, and lots of support if you run into trouble. We got it up and running same day. In the same day, we had it up and running. I was like, Gina, Brandis, get this up and running. You know, and they deal with my nonsense all the time. Like, we got to get this going. You know, and then I forget whatever I said. In this case, they did it, and it worked, and it was great, and now we're using it. Wistia.com/twist. Go check it out. Wistia.twist. It is the easiest white label video hosting. Add video to your website easily and on your own terms. You know how YouTube's trying to screw you, and they're trying to squeeze you? I've ranted about this many times, children. I have my children. Blessed is he who uses the Wistia. Get in there and use it. It's amazing. No credit card required. First 5 videos free. And now let's get back to the program. Oh, God, John, I'm so worked up right now. I don't know what it is. I'm so worked up.
You are fired up.
I'm fired up today.
This is
and
good.
now I'm drinking
content.
Jordan here. Thank you, Jordan. As instructed by Brandis with the classic Angelina. Have you had Angelina?
I haven't. Does that have alcohol in it? What's in that thing?
No. I don't really drink alcohol. It's way too strong. It's like poison. I'm 43 years old now.
Imagine you on alcohol, though. That would be,
I mean, listen, it's
that would be
happened.
entertaining.
I mean, listen, actually, you want to talk about a Mark Cuban story? At the second year of the launch festival, oh my God, we're like, anyway, we went out and that was a fun party. Anyway, this is an Angelino. It's 3 espressos shaken with milk and agave syrup.
Whew.
This is rocket fuel for me.
Yeah, I'd be like cracked out on that.
It's going to be a great second half of the show, I tell you that. So listen, you have this great idea for Mogul. It starts working. You got some traction, I take it, because you raised $13 million for this?
Up to about $22 million now.
$22 million, and it's Austin Ventures. That's a legit firm.
Austin, Sigma, and Avalon.
Yeah, Sigma, Avalon, whatever. I don't know those guys. But who's Sigma and Avalon?
They're
I never
great.
heard
So
of those
Sigma
guys.
just broke into 2 different firms, West and East. They've got some amazing people.
I've actually heard of Sigma. Give them
Yeah, Pete's on our board, and he's awesome. And Avalon,
I don't know
they
these
did
Sigma
Zynga.
guys. Whoever's doing the PR for these Sigma guys, get your butt in gear and let's figure out who the partner is there who's doing something interesting. Get him on the program, and somebody go have coffee with me from Sigma.
I'll give him the memo.
Yeah, give him a memo. Got to get on the radar.
And then Avalon,
Where are they based?
you know Avalon. They did Zynga. I mean, they did
I
a
know
bunch
Avalon.
of huge hits.
Yeah. But Austin, that's a big firm, right?
Pretty good, yeah.
Those guys are huge. They invest a lot of money in companies.
They do.
Like when they come in, they're just like, yeah, 20, 30 million. Like they just
sneeze,
shove a lot of
sneeze
chips.
at $20 million.
It's a big fund. Like that's
Yeah.
a multi-billion-dollar group.
$3 billion. Actually, all of them are pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've all been around for about 20 years. And
All right. Take a memo. Let's look
few
into this
billion.
Avalon and Sigma stuff. I know the Austin folks. But this must be nice for you to have a win under your belt because your first couple companies didn't quite do as well.
So I've got a mixed past. So
you've been at this for 10 years.
15.
15, yeah.
Well, and that's just legitimate companies. There's
Yeah.
all the,
Yeah,
stuff
those
you do
little
when
ones
you're like
before.
10 years old and
Yeah,
selling
you went-
golf balls and,
Yeah.
hot dogs at the end of my street. I actually almost got arrested for selling hot dogs at the end of my driveway when I was about 12. I didn't know you needed a food permit, and I was like, my mom would buy the huge things at Costco, like the big bags of
Yeah.
hot dogs, and I would microwave them because they didn't know how to cook, and they would
Yeah.
explode, and I'd put cheese on them. I thought they were awesome, and I would
And
sell
kids
them.
are buying for $1.
Yeah, sell them for $1 each, and I actually had like a line of cars. I don't know why anybody would buy exploded hot dogs nowadays,
cheese-
but
the cheese, I think.
did have
The
cheese.
cheese
Maybe
was a
that
big
was it.
innovation.
That was the key.
And what happened? The cops are just like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, like a cop came up. I'm like, you want a hot dog? I'm like, this is awesome. I'm selling hot dogs
Yeah.
even to the cops. And then he's like, I need to see a food permit. I'm like, what's a food permit?
How old are you, 12?
I'm like 12, yeah. And he literally is like, son, I could take you to jail right now. And he starts really, hammering me. And my dad comes out. He's like, what's going on out here? They were all proud. Their son did, the wannabe lemonade stand. And the cop was yelling at my dad. It was kind of a mess, but he didn't take me to jail.
So lemonade stand, I guess they let that fly a little bit. But once
Yeah.
you start getting into the hot dogs, then
Yeah, apparently you can kill people if you don't nuke it enough or something.
Yeah, they're probably. But so you guys were working on Mojo pages before this, which was like sort of like Google Local, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. So Mojo
And what
pages.
happened? Panda killed you? Panda update, Google update killed you?
That was a pain in the ass to deal with, but we actually survived all the updates. So it's basically like a white label Yelp. So Mojo Pages is there for TV, radio, newspaper companies to be able to have a Yelp-like directory so they can sell advertising and they can make money off a local search.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in Mahalo, I'm sure you guys had to put up with all that stuff. When you rely on Google, it just sucks.
It's brutal.
They can beat you up anytime they want. But they've actually been really nice to us, so thank you, Google. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because we try to provide
Not that
some
you
great,
know,
great
because
content.
they won't talk to you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
never.
You're like, hey, can we talk to you and
Like,
discuss
hunt
this? They're
down
like,
Matt Cutts and
yeah, they're like,
know.
no, we don't want to talk to you. We just want to destroy your business and keep you guessing while you lay off your team.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. They've been nice. They've been harsh, but we just try to continue to.
Let me tell you something. If
do
you
good
don't talk
content.
to your partners and you take that stance that we're just not going to give any direction and we're going to steal your business out from under you, which is what they did to you in Yelp. I mean, basically they pushed you down the page, didn't they?
Definitely, especially when they launched their own search product. Back 4 or 5 years ago, there wasn't very many Google ads at all on there. Now Google Local basically takes over, 80+% of the page.
It is incredible. And then Google takes this position like, oh, we have not changed organic search.
Yeah.
It's such a disingenuous lie. Like Matt Cutts is like, let me lie to you guys. We have not changed organic search. And then it's like, wait a second, you pushed it from the top of the page all the way to the bottom, and then Mojo pages and everybody else who was up there, Yelp, got pushed down 90%. 99% of the clicks occur in the top half.
Yep.
And they put their own product up there. It's crazy.
It sucked. It sucked especially, too, because, we raised venture capital around this. We had all these employees that relied on us. And it's a tough spot for Google to be in. I sympathize a little bit, but there was definitely a point where they were pushing the evil line pretty far because it was just all Google Local. And I did a blog post on it once. It's like, is this evil ? Because it was 80% was all Google
But you're scared to write
Local.
that email because you've got a business to run.
Yeah.
And they're
You don't
so
wanna piss off
threatening.
Google. Yeah.
And Matt Cutts is such a gangster. He's so
I'm nervous
threatening.
right now just talking about
I know.
this.
It's like everybody's, I gave up because, I don't care. I can just say outright, Matt's a liar. Matt lies, I think. And I think Matt is
I'm not saying
like,
that, Matt.
You're not saying that. I'm saying I think Matt's a liar because he lied to my face. He lies on stage all the time that they're not changing organic search. And then they're like, they won't have a conversation with the industry about this. And they wonder why they're being investigated by the EU.
Huge
They can't
investigations.
settle the EU investigation. If Google would just learn, Matt, this message is to Matt Cutts, if you would just talk in an honest way to the partners, then you wouldn't have me going out there calling you out on the constant lying that Google does. They just have this dysfunctional thing where they don't feel they can talk to people, and then you're scared to write that post, but you wrote it anyway.
Yeah.
And your investors are like, oh, don't write a post taking on Google.
Here goes John
Let me
again.
tell you
Oh,
something.
crap.
Part of the reason why Google behaves so badly, I believe, is because people won't do what you did or what I did, which is just to call them on it and say, Google, you need to behave better. We all know Google's going to win everything, right? That's a foregone conclusion. Google will win anything they want. They're that big, they're that smart, they're that powerful. So then the question for Google becomes, if you're going to win everything, how do you treat the partners who are helping you get there? And what do you want your legacy to be? Do you want your legacy that you're, paranoid and scared of them as a partner, that I'm pissed off at them and calling them out? Like, why not just be mentions? Like Matt Cutts, I believe, is a good person in his heart, but he's putting himself out there as a liar and being dishonest with the audience. I just think it's crazy that we have to live in fear of Google. When we love Google, right? Don't you love aspects of Google?
We're the ones creating all the content for Google, right?
Yes.
Without us, there would be no search results except Google, and I don't think Google wants that. And so ultimately, they should be playing nicer. They call it Panda, but they should call it like Satan because it just comes out of nowhere and just blows up your business. And we
And
had
no
to do
explanation.
layoffs. We had to do all the same kind of stuff.
You had to do layoffs. You had people crying, right?
Absolutely. People that their families and kids relied on us. We were building great content, and all of a sudden one day Google without warning, and we weren't doing like what the Rap Genius guys were doing. We were actually doing everything on the up and up, and we still got just boom, 30% of your traffic's gone overnight, and you've got to make adjustments to
What do you
your
say
expenses.
to the people you're laying off at families when they ask you like, can't we do something? Don't we know people at Google? What do you say to them?
At that point, they know how it all works. And, we try to talk to Google as much as possible. We try to, go to the trade shows and find Matt and say, hey, are we doing everything on the up and up? And we try to get contacts over there, but it's hard. They don't have a really good system set up to talk to those people who create the content, who rely on Google for traffic. And so when they get laid off, they end up hating Google and thinking Google is evil and trying to find a job that doesn't rely on search engine results because that's really sketchy and just a tough business to be in. Probably a bad business to be in.
I really
nowadays.
appreciate, John, that you're honest about this because I do think that the industry dialogue has been stifled by a fear of Google and because, like, if you look what they did with Rap Genius, the fact that they can just annihilate a company that is the best quality content.
Yeah.
And they don't feel the need to explain it to anybody. They don't give a warning.
There's no controls.
There's no controls. They are inviting themselves to be regulated.
Well, they have to be after the Rap Genius because what happened, I think they made a critical error. They actually knocked Rap Genius out for its own keyword. So Rap Genius wasn't showing up.
Right.
And that is evil. I mean, come on. If people are looking for Rap Genius, they're obviously
should be
looking
able
for
to
Rap Genius.
find it.
Yeah, you can't knock. It was like
It's
on
like
the third page
mafia.
of results. It is absolutely like the mafia. It's all powerful. And I do believe the Google means well. They have good people over there that really do believe that slogan. But somewhere along the lines, they've sort of lost their way a little bit, and there's no controls over it. There's nobody sort of making sure that they're not evil. And so I think they accidentally, or whatever you want to call it, give them the benefit of the doubt, but they're definitely crossing that line, I think, a little too much, and there's no repercussions for it. So, they can.
All right, when we get back from this, thank you for being honest about that. Listen, to the audience, it's a little bit of a tangent, but that's what this show does. When this show works, when This Week in Startups works for founders and for the industry, the time it works best is when we have a guest like John who comes on and he's totally honest about an issue that he's faced, and so bravo to John and other people who come on this program, and they talk honestly about these issues, because you're not going to find this kind of honesty on TechCrunch or these other people who are in the pockets of Google and the venture capitalists who are giving them all their advertising. I'm in nobody's pocket. I answer to no one. I am a goddamn, you can't buy me. I don't care how much you give me. I don't care if you stop sponsoring my event, like one large company that shall remain, one of the biggest technology companies in the industry, pulled out of their sponsorship of my event, the Launch Festival, after 6 years, and now it's the 7th year, and they pull out in year 7. That happens to coincide with me criticizing them. We won't say what company that is. But I mean, how lame is that? I'm doing a conference to support entrepreneurs that cost $1 million. They put up like some, 3-4% of the budget of it every year. And then they back out without explanation because I'm trying to have an industry dialogue with them. You know what? I don't care. I'll spend my own goddamn money and I'll lose money. You can't stop me. And you know what? You're only going to, by pushing my button like that, and then you're trying to give me a message. You're trying to send me a message by pulling out your sponsorship. I'm from Brooklyn.
It's war.
I'll send you a message. All right? You want a message sent? I watched The Godfather this weekend again. Both. Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. My wife and my child were out of town. So I watched The Godfather back to back. That's why I'm on fire. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop me. Speaking of which.
Amen.
Amen. Speaking of which, you could pull your sponsorship. You know what? You pull a sponsorship from JCal, 10 more come in their place. And I'm moving to San Francisco. So if you think that this is going to end because I'm in LA and I'm some kind of bit player, I'm coming up to San Francisco. And then we'll see who's the mayor of town, okay? We'll see who the mayor of San Francisco is when I get up there. Mandrill. Oh, my God, Mandrill. I love Mandrill. It's transactional email, and they have servers all over the world, and delivery is instantaneous everywhere. Real-time analytics, it's amazing, and they monitor performance and make improvements constantly. If you are running a service, whatever the service is, and you're sending transactional email, which is like, hey, you got a friend request, hey, you got money back, hey, you did this, hey, you did that, you need to have a quality partner who makes sure you get past the Google spam filters. Speaking of Google and Gmail, like, you need to get into people's email boxes, and they're, going to be all of them, Yahoo, AOL, everybody, every mail service is going to err on the side of putting something in the spam box that feels commercial rather than letting a spam message get through. That's just, their incentive is to not let stuff through and make sure if they're in your address book already, you get through. What that means is when you launch a startup, and you need to get that password reset to somebody, or you need to get that friend request to somebody, if you don't have a partner who's really, really focused on having high-quality IP addresses to get those emails into those email services and going to bat for you and saying, hey, this is a legit service. This is not some Russian spammer or some Chinese spammer trying to, assault the AOL servers or the Yahoo servers or the MSN servers or the Google servers. Mandrill is that partner. This is all they focus on, and pricing is incredible. The first 12,000 emails a month are always free, and after that, you pay on a usage basis. You never pay for more than you use, and there's no feature gating. All features are available for all users, whether paying or not. Sign up at mandrill.com. Sign up at mandrill.com. It's super easy. Your developers and your team will be working immediately on it. It's like it's so simple. I mean, they've made it dead simple. If you're trying to send your own emails to your own email servers and not using a professional service like Mandrill, you are going to be screwed. You're going to lose users. You're going to spend all that time and money to acquire a user. The transactional email that says, congratulations, click here to verify your comment, click here to verify your account, click here to reset your password, is not going to get through, and you lose a client who had already opted into your service. Don't let that happen. Use Mandrill. It's just the best service ever. I use it myself. And they've got great mobile iOS and Android apps so you can monitor performance and troubleshoot from anywhere, like when you're on the beach. Okay, listen, we're back. All right, John. Let's talk a little bit about where you're going with this app and benefit corporations. I am, obviously we had Rose. I don't know if you saw the episode with Hand Up yet.
Yep, sure did.
So these benefit corporations are starting to bubble up. You're a C Corp, I'm assuming.
For now, yeah, but we're definitely looking into the B Corp.
Explain to the audience what your understanding of what a B Corp is and why you would consider being one.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm in the early stages of research on
that's
it,
fine.
So don't know a lot about it, but I just know that they've built it so that if you have a company that's trying to make the world a better place, trying to solve one of the world's great problems, then it's very beneficial to be a B Corp on many different fronts. But I'd probably screw something up if I tried to go into the details.
It seems like, you have to have a stated mission. But you've been an entrepreneur now for, well, not counting the hot dog stand, for almost 2 decades. What is your thinking about why we're blending, and we're seeing the blending of doing well and doing good?
Yeah. For first off, we are definitely seeing some momentum coming on these kind of like fight the world's problems type of businesses. And it's been a real fun conversation I've been having with other entrepreneurs out there. And I think if you take a 50,000-foot view of it, if you go back, say, 100 years, like, did you ever see The Men Who Built America, that show on History
what
Channel?
is that?
Oh, amazing show. It's about Rockefeller and Carnegie and all those guys and how they built America.
Yeah.
And how in those days, it was about being a titan. And you had to, like, monopolize and just
own
crush
the railroad,
your competition. And, oil and railroads.
It was like, you found oil? That's great. I have the railroad.
Yeah, exactly. And they would
just... I have coal. How are you going to run that railroad?
Exactly. It was cutthroat. It was monopolies. And you had to be evil. Part of the theme today, you had to be almost evil. You had to just crush your competition.
Right. And Teddy Roosevelt actually was interesting. He came in and tried to regulate that.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm reading on Audible. I'm listening to Audible to the Bully Pulpit.
Yep.
Not to do an Audible ad in the middle of the show, but get this: the Bully Pulpit is amazing.
The Bully Pulpit, I gotta get it.
It's about Teddy Roosevelt and the market. Oh, that's it. Well, then we'll do it like a mandate.
It's in. Perfect.
We'll go on a mandate to one of these great restaurants in Mogul,
and we'll earn cash back.
10% cash
we'll
back.
Change the world.
Exactly. Keep going.
So you have the titans, right? And then you have sort of this next generation of entrepreneurs who sort of abandoned all that, crushed the competition, and they really wanted to be more of an innovator. So you have like the Steve Jobs, the Richard Branson. They came in, it was all about building a better product. They saw this corporate complacency that came with all these fat cats making all this money, and they were like, we are going to build a better product. And they did, and I think they've inspired a whole nother wave of entrepreneurs. We're all trying to be Steve Jobs now and build beautiful products and all that. And now I think there's a new wave of entrepreneurship happening, which is really exciting, and I kind of label them the saviors. These are the ones who are actually not just trying to create a really cool product, but they're actually trying to solve mankind's problems. And if you look at Elon Musk, he is on the forefront of this, right? He sold a company that was betterment. PayPal was creating a better product, and he moved into this sort of like, how do we get mankind off planet Earth in case we destroy it? How do we get us off our reliance on oil?
Hey guys, I just want to take a note here. Anytime anybody invokes Elon Musk on the program, I just want like a little Elon Musk head to come out and go, there's one of him like being Dr. Evil with a cat. I just want like an Elon Musk come out and then go away. Okay, Brandon?
And it probably happens. Probably happens all the time.
But you're right. It's like aligning, like, hey, is what I'm doing about making money? That's kind of like just pathetic, right? Like if you're just out there to be a marauder.
Yep.
Who cares?
Arbitraging, some.
Yeah, it's almost like if you forget arbitraging, but even if you just build a product and just make money, you're kind of not respected anymore.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, building a really cool, beautiful product it just pales in comparison when you're like, yeah, we're actually going to like put mankind on multiple planets. And I don't even think it has to be on Elon Musk's
And
style.
It doesn't have to be either, does it?
Yeah. So I think there's another good way to do it, which we took inspiration from, which was Tom Shoes. So with the Tom Shoes model, they're still solving one of the world's problems. It just happens to be not on such a grandiose scale as Elon Musk is, but I think it's still equally important. Right, and what's really cool about this new crop, so we were inspired by that. Obviously, every time you eat out, or we deal with hunger, we feed people in essence, and so now we help feed people who can't help themselves or can't afford it. And so it's along those same lines. But what's really cool about that is not only I mean, it's great on so many levels. It's great for me personally because, we haven't gotten to some of the history, but I ended up selling a company, made some money, and thought I was going to retire at 26. I was like, I'm done. I'm stressed out. I bootstrapped the companies. I'm like, I'm over it. I'm just going to sit on the beach and surf all day and drink Mai Tais.
Yeah.
And that lasted like a month. And then I was completely bored out of my mind.
Right? Like any entrepreneur who I've seen 1,000 entrepreneurs be like, I'm retiring, and they get to week 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in Thailand.
Depressed.
And they're going stark crazy.
Yeah.
The existential crisis when an entrepreneur stops building stuff is like, it's like they go mental. It's like a nervous breakdown.
It is, because you're used to this crazy roller coaster, like, oh my God, we're going to change the world. Oh, I got to fire everybody. Google just launched Panda. Like, oh wait, no, we're back. Like, you're just on such a roller coaster, and then
it's addictive.
It's totally addictive. And then you get off that roller coaster. Like when I was in Indonesia on my wannabe retirement, it was like, oh, there's good waves. I got a barrel today. It's like, oh man, fish and rice again. It's like, oh, they got beer. Oh, they're out of beer. Like there was just no thrill,
it's kind of hard to. That thrill's hard. Kind of hard to.
It's impossible to reproduce. And the other thing is. But I think one of the good things, once you sell a company and you make, millions or tens of millions or hundreds, depending on the size, I think a lot of entrepreneurs start companies because they don't have money and they need money to get by. They're hustling, right? And then all of a sudden they get that cash, and all of a sudden they get elevated to the next level, which is like, okay, well, I've got the nest egg. So what do I want to do?
What now?
And that's where I think this new wave of entrepreneurship brings the most fulfillment of any wave before it, because it was really cool to do what Jobs and Branson and all those innovators did. But if you can actually be changing people's lives and positively impacting the world, there is, at least as far as I can tell, no greater sort of fulfillment in your business. And that's for you personally as an entrepreneur, right? So you should do it for yourself, find that why behind what you do, and find what kind of impact you can have. But then there's all these other cool benefits. So all of a sudden your customers love buying from you. Like you were talking about, how do we get the coolest restaurants? Some of them do it just for the meal program.
That's what I was going to say. Like if I had a restaurant and you came to me, I'd be like, you know what? I don't care about getting more customers this way, but I do want the customers who actually care about this. So I would be like, I'll do it if you can guarantee me 100% goes to the food banks and stuff like that. So I don't want people taking 10% cash back at my fancy Cafe Jacal, but I would like at Cafe Jacal to coming soon to a city near you. It's a chain of airports.
That's like
I spent so much time in airports. Cafe Jacal. But anyway, Cafe Gesson. It'd be really cool. I'd be like, I want those customers who want to help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you're saying the restaurant sets the donation amount.
The restaurant should get to set it, right?
Cool.
And that would be cool. That should be an option, right?
Yeah.
So this restaurant you have to give it to, the restaurant gets to pick. Because I would be like, hey, listen, I'm giving that 10% back.
Yeah.
So I want it. It's great that some restaurants allow it, but I want it to go to this food bank around the corner.
Yep. No, I love that idea. That's actually a really cool one.
Like even the hype, because it is local. I mean, that is the thing about this cash back, is that you're finding the local food banks, right?
We work with all local food banks, and 100% of donations go to the food banks because we collect a separate fee, just a flat monthly fee from the restaurants for being
is that your model? So being part of the program is $50 a month or something?
Yeah, it's like $150 if you're a nice restaurant, and if you're a small little coffee shop, it's like $50 a month. So it's super affordable for the restaurants.
Yeah, and you're going with that, like, hey, we're going to go for scale. We're not going to overcharge for this.
And by the way, because I do want to get back to all the other benefits, but one of the cool things, launching in February, the restaurants will be able to choose their cash back based on time of day. Because now that we'll have real time on Amex, MasterCard, and Visa.
So that's good. So you can be like, hey, come in before 7.
Yeah, exactly.
You get it.
It's
and then
25%.
After 7,
and then after 7, it's 5%.
Oh, that's brilliant. So when I open up the app, see, this is what I love about what you're doing is like, I hate these like programs. I think they're kind of like cheesy typically, like when they're executed in a cheesy way. But I love the idea that it's just like, it's so delightful to me. This is why I'm going to use Mogul. And I'm like halfway through the sign-up process, and then Gina has to set up here, is because I would just like the delightfulness of like knowing that this restaurant supported it, and that would actually make me go back, increase my view of the restaurateur, which would then make me want to come back to the restaurant. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Like
it's an image thing. It's like their brand.
I think most people are playing above the rim here on this issue. It has nothing to do with the 10% back. It has everything to do with the intention. Like, if you have the intentionality to join this program as a restaurant, I want to support you, and I think highly of you. It's like almost like if you were using, organic food, or you were just like, I'm paying, a living wage, which I think is another thing that restaurants are going to start doing. Is like, somebody told me Trader Joe's pays like $20 an hour or something like that, and then Costco pays like 15 or 20 bucks an hour minimum wage or something.
They're just doing the right thing, and then you respect that brand.
And
so much more.
Walmart is paying like $9 an hour or some
That's
nonsense.
awful.
And
The
it's
Walmart
like,
thing is a
come
disaster.
on, man! Like you're making so much money. One thing if your company wasn't making billions of dollars hands over fist. But like, come on, like this is changing the world with consumers, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that'll bring you back to the other benefits. So not only am I more fulfilled, not only are my customers more likely to buy from me because I have a purpose. We call it profits and purpose. Those two P's go together like peanut butter and jelly. So your customers like you more. Your employees have a better reason to get out of bed in the morning, and they're more fired up about working for you. And, nowadays with the millennials that are coming out of college and they want to be about purpose and they want to follow their passion, and you see all this stuff, there really is a huge debate going on around that because they're really smart, but yet there's this entitlement and there's all these issues. But we have found once we made that switch to, fighting hunger with hunger,
easier for you to manage.
Influx of them. They are fired up. They want to work. They want to kill themselves.
That's fascinating.
For us.
So you're saying just running Mogul, it's easier for you as CEO because they have purpose.
Absolutely. I think it was really a smart business decision. I didn't do it initially for a business decision. The way we kind of stumbled into it. I saw Blake from Tom Shoes give a talk. I was on Summit Series on that big cruise ship thing in Miami. I got inspired. I was like, I wonder if we can do a meal for meal. That'd be kind of cool. Nobody's doing a meal for meal. And I got back and I researched it and I was like, this is great. We can do a meal for meal. So our old program, you'd spend at least $20, we donate one meal. You couldn't donate all your
because
cash
the
back.
meal in Bangladesh or even like a meal at a soup kitchen is going to be a magnitude less than at a restaurant.
It's actually 20 cents. And it's crazy. The reason is it's 20 cents is because we have enough food in America to feed everybody. We make enough. We produce enough food for everyone. But the problem is getting it to the people and then the people being able to afford it.
Got it.
So what happens is we throw away about 30% of our food every year. Ugh. And what food banks do is they are simply distribution for that food that's otherwise going to go to waste. And
so Whole Foods is going to dump this bread in the backyard.
Could be Whole Foods. It could be local grocery stores, local farmers. A lot of it comes from big, huge producers like Kraft and that kind of stuff. And they'll be like mispackaged, mislabeled, going to go bad. We didn't sell it. And so the food banks have to pick up literally millions of pounds of food.
So they need gas money to get there and get the cheese.
Exactly. They need gas money, the trucks.
So it's a transportation issue and like a processing issue. Yep. It's fascinating when you start drilling down on this.
It is. It is totally a distribution issue. And so 20 cents a meal can provide it. And that's why our mission at Mogul, if we get enough people using it and enough people donating in the city, we can pay for all the distribution. So in essence, we could, dare I say, end hunger because we have solved the distribution of the food that would otherwise go to waste.
How do people get the app? Do you have the domain name Mogl?
Mogl.com.
Yeah, Mogl.com. That's a good
Android,
domain. 4-letter domain.
Yeah, $5,000. Cha-ching.
God damn it. I love a good domain deal. Inside.com launching January 24th.
That's a pretty sweet name too. How much?
I got it for $60K.
That is actually
It's really $1 million domain name.
Yeah, that is really, really good.
Yeah, the person who I bought it from put a clause in it. They're like, if you sell it for over what you paid for it in the next whatever year or two, we'll get half of that money. That was like my
Smart
way of
negotiation because you're not going to sell it. No way.
Yeah, that'd be like, oh yeah, I happen to own Central Park. I'm going to sell it. It's like, I own Central Park. I'm not selling it. No, of course I'm not. I own the building on Columbus Circle. I own Trump Tower. You're not selling it.
Why would you do that?
It's just too valuable real estate. All right, let's do an Ask Jason. You want to do an Ask Jason with me?
Sure.
Let's do an Ask Jason. This guy's pretty smart. John Carter's smart. Can we do an Ask Jason?
Hi, Jason.
Here we go.
My name is Wayne Quirtz. I'm a software developer based in New Zealand and trying to get noticed in the very competitive world of remote working developers. I already work remotely, so I have experience, but even with being selective with the companies I apply for and making highly customized, interactive, online cover letters tailored to specific companies, I don't even get a response sometimes. What more can I do to stand out above the crowd? Thank you.
That is a great question. And what was really great about that question, as a software developer remote in New Zealand who is making interactive little hooks to get work, that was going to be my answer. So this is a brilliant question because you're really challenging me, because what I usually tell people is, listen, if you write something custom to somebody, like if you got something from Mogul and the person's like, look, I designed a new feature for Mogul, here's the URL and a screenshot in your email, are you looking at it?
Yeah,
are you forwarding it to your team?
That definitely stands out. Right. And I'm always sending those things off to my team. And they hate it, actually, because I keep barraging them with stuff. I'm like, check this guy out. Check this one out. They're like, dude.
I think I'm going to go with specialization and making a yearly trip or two to the United States to meet with people. So I do think, out of state, out of mind, out of country, out of mind. I think what you really should do is a tour of the United States, go to San Francisco, and you should get 2 or 3 people who are also developers and get their CVs and make a little package that says, listen, I represent 5 developers. I have 3, and make them all Ruby, right? Like, so if your speciality is Ruby, get 4 other Ruby developers and say, listen, I'm going to market us as a package. I'm going to go to the United States. It's going to cost me $3,000 for this trip. And I'm going to try to set up lunches with 20 different people. And I'm going to do, New Zealand, Ruby, Ruby Zealand. And you get the domain name Ruby Zealand, put that on social media, get the Twitter handle Ruby Zealand, and be like a bunch of Ruby guys. And you got to have fun, right? Marketing is sometimes about fun and playfulness. And just like, you're Ruby Zealand, right? You got Ruby Zealand, at Ruby Zealand, whatever it is. Then you come to the United States with your Ruby Zealand shirt on, and you just start handing people your card and say, listen, I have Ruby developers in New Zealand. You go to a bunch of events, and you just hang out, and you just network with people, and put it on Hacker News. And when you comment on Hacker News or on Stack Overflow, your handle is Ruby Zealand, right? So see, what I'm doing is you're adding value on Quora, at events, et cetera, but you're branding yourself, embedded branding on social media for Ruby Zealand. And if it was, C#, it would be, C Zealand, whatever it is. Zealand. If we figure it out. I mean, what am I going to do here? I can't do all your work for you. But I do think out of a little collective would be good, because you're not going to, if you start representing 4 other developers, then you can say, listen, I'm doing like 3 or 4 of these trips. I'm just going to take like 10% of whatever we bill, and I can give them 1 bill for our hours, and we'll do it through 1 FreshBooks account or 1 whatever Zen payroll account, whatever it is. You get 1 simple thing, and why not represent 5 or 6 of the great developers in New Zealand? I think that's your big idea. What would you say, John?
I like that. I think that's actually pretty smart. I would just add to that, make sure you're going after the right type of company. So our company, and I'll probably get some flack for this, but we don't do outsource. We have everybody under the same roof in the same team. We're working side by side. We're going out for drinks afterwards. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of that type of culture, and that's just sort of the way that I run my business. But there's plenty of other businesses that are happy to outsource, that run most of their employees remotely. I don't think there's a right or wrong there, but make sure you're going after the right companies, because if you sent me that, I would say, that's like, oh, he's remote, and delete right away. I wouldn't even take a second look at it. So just make sure you're finding the companies that are friendly to that.
Qualify is a good one. Exactly. All right, listen, good job, John. Okay, let's do one more. Go ahead. One more, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hi.
My question to you would be how you manage to be seemingly everywhere, do everything you're involved in, and maintain a healthy family life. I run my own businesses myself in Hong Kong, and I don't feel I do half the things that you do, or be it as many places as you are. And I already miss my 2 daughters, 1 3-year-old, and 1 is almost 2-year-old, end of this month. So it's a bit of a personal question, but watching your shows, following you for a few years now, that's always what I wonder. Anyway.
All right.
Maybe you can...
This is a great question.
Good question.
This is a great question. Let me just start off by saying, don't set your benchmark for success against another person, right? Like, so here are your sort of premises, like, hey, Jason is getting so much done and he's everywhere. Let's not give me too much credit. I have crafted this career over 2 decades, very specifically to have a very big media footprint, because I was a journalist when I started, and I've built editorial products. If I was an enterprise person, you wouldn't know who I was, because I wasn't building public-facing stuff, right? So I have this embedded advantage because I'm an editorial guy. And so it does seem like I'm everywhere, but I have so many amazing people around me. Like today's program, I didn't pick the guest. I didn't write the notes. I didn't sell the sponsorship. I didn't set up these clips. People who are asking, ask Jason, I have no idea how those clips came in there. I have producer Gina, who's wonderful. She got the great guest. I got Brandis, my technical producer, who makes everything flawless. That's why everything seems so great. Then I got a whole bunch of other people doing marketing and this and that. And like when I write a blog post, I write it in Google Docs, and then I fire off an email to like the team email, and I'm like, get this up on everything. And it's like, it's Saturday in the afternoon. All my people are God bless them, having a wonderful afternoon, and I ruin it for everybody because I'm like, I want this up and running. I'm writing this post about tech brats. And boom, to their credit, they're like, hey, we got to support Jason. So I have this huge support system. So you're comparing to me with a huge support system, you're never going to win. Just like if I were to compare myself to the president, like he's everywhere too. But he walks in and they're like, read what's on the teleprompter. Like, that's it. And then go to the next thing and read what's on the teleprompter. And there's somebody who writes for that teleprompter who's better than the president could ever write anything. It would take our president 2 or 3 weeks to write those speeches, but there's somebody who's really like a savant at writing speeches who does it for him. It makes him look even better, right? So there's always somebody who's a little better. But now the core of your question is, hey, how do you become a great dad or mom while doing this? And, it's a very pressing question for you to ask because I have a 4-year-old daughter, everybody knows. And I've read a lot about it. And quality of the time you spend with children and consistency is incredibly important. So when my daughter is at school, I am not sweating it like, oh my God, there's people at school and they're getting all this time with my daughter and I'm not. That's a part of her maturation to socialize with her. But when I am with my daughter, I do not have my phone on. My phone is turned off. It's in another room, in the closet, whatever. And that I have very traditional things I do with my daughter. Like every Saturday morning, every Sunday morning, we get out of bed, get the hug and kiss, everything, and then we get dressed in our like sloppy clothes and walk to the village and have breakfast together, right? And she knows consistently we're going to do that. And she knows consistently I'm going to take her to Disney every other month, and we're going to have a daddy Disney day. And we're going to go see every movie the day it comes out. Just this very specific 100% attention time. What I find is the multitasking parents are like this. They're trying to spend time with their daughter, and they're like, oh, so what did you do at school today? And then they start doing this. Well, that's not going to work. You've got to be dedicated to them and just have that high quality time. That's the best I think. And then as I've gotten older, I will take time off. So I went to Brooklyn, and unless she's asleep and my wife's asleep, I'm not working. And I really, structured the time together. So I think taking the approach that you take with your startup, which is having a plan, is key. I plan as a parent because I know that if you don't have a plan, then you don't have anything to execute. And if you create a plan and you execute on a plan, good things happen. If you just wing it, good things may happen, but probably not. That's why I approach everything I do with a sort of level of discipline and a strategy. And anybody who's worked for me or who works for me currently will tell you there is a strategy and there is a standard that we try to uphold in all the projects, whether it's inside or launch, or I apply that same standard to myself in my performance on this show for you, my audience. I apply that same standard when I'm writing, and I apply that same standard to myself and that same strategy on being a parent. If you plan your success and you execute the plan, you will be successful. If you have no plan, you have nothing to execute, therefore your chances of success go way down. So don't sweat it. Have a plan. Put in your calendar, daddy-daughter time. And we're going to do something special. It doesn't have to be dropping $300 at Disney. I know that's expensive and not realistic for every parent. I'm very privileged that I can have a season pass to Disney. That's not lost on me. But I can tell you going to the pet store for my daughter, better than going to Disney. The pet store is free. Buying $2 worth of crickets and $5 worth of ladybugs is hours of entertainment for a child in that zone in our backyard or a public park. We go to the park with a bag of crickets and let them go, and that is 2 hours of fun for a child. You don't need to spend the money on Disney or $15 tickets. So plan. Please plan as a parent, and then execute the plan, and then it's all worked out. And then you know what? Your anxiety and your neurosis about am I a good parent or not, it'll go like this. I never feel like I'm a bad parent because I have these things on the schedule. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and it's going to be awesome. What do you think, John? Do you have kids?
I do. I have 2 daughters. And,
How old?
I think, one is a newborn, actually, so 10 months. And then the other one just turned 15. So I've got like a spread in between.
Wow.
Which is kind of nice. I got a break now and sort of only one.
And I'm complaining with my wife about we're going to try to have a second child. And I'm like, oh my God, 5 years. Why did we put 5 years? You put 14.
I did. Not entirely planned out, but that's sort of how it ended up working out. And for me, I think it's, I think there is a lot of sort of guilt put on entrepreneurs. Like, you've got to work this 100-hour work week or this 120-hour work week because I heard that Elon Musk does that, or I heard, this guy does that, or read some article in Inc. about how crazy it is to be an entrepreneur. And I think...
Wait a second. Did you say Elon Musk?
I did again. So did the animation hit yet?
No, but I saw them flash it before. I think we'll have that ready for next week.
Get that ready. So... it just is. There's a lot of pressure. You want to be successful. A lot of times you've raised venture capital, so you've got a board that's holding you accountable, and you just think you have to kill yourself and work crazy, crazy hours. And I think, as you mentioned, the best entrepreneurs, the way they do it is they delegate all the tasks, all the menial tasks, the things that they're not amazing at.
It doesn't have to be menial, right? Because it could be just things that seemingly are menial to the person. Like producing this show is not a menial task.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to do the menial task. But then after that, then it's delegating the tasks that you're not necessarily the best at, or other people could be better than you, and really honing in on the stuff that you're really, really good at. So you can just show up here and interview, and you don't have to do all the setup. A lot of those tasks were very difficult, but there's people that probably you're even better at it than you are.
Certainly.
So yeah, definitely. So you want to delegate really efficiently. Plan, just like you mentioned, everything should be in your calendar, man. I live and die by my calendar. Every hour is planned out well in advance. And don't feel guilty about taking the time to be with your kids, or even to have your alone time, your downtime, your vacation time. I hear about people working all weekends and vacation.
Yeah.
Eventually what's going to happen is they're just going to lose that creative edge, because your brain is like a computer. It needs to shut down. It needs to start working on other tasks. It can't just be going on a business all the time. So if you give
sometimes
it a break,
when you're playing with your daughter or your son, that's when all of a sudden you have the lightning.
Exactly. Those are the best ideas come on vacation or with your kids, or in relaxing, or those downtimes.
What I do is I'm like, Daddy needs to write something down right now. I just got the most amazing idea that's going to change the world. Hold on one second.
I'll play with the ladybugs. I'll be right back.
I'll put that princess dress on in just 1 second. I need to write this down. I will play Merida in just a moment. Let me get
my
this
fake tea
But you
doesn't
got a
get cold.
teenager. That all changes when you got a teenager.
Yeah,
they're on their own.
Scary.
Yeah, they're on their own planet. They're like,
less time, but more mental worries.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to talk to you, Dad. Oh, Dad, I have something that's really challenging. We need to talk about. You're like, oh my God.
Go to your mom.
Go to your mom. All right, listen, this has been a great program. John, you've been a great guest. Very honest guest. And you're a fan of the program, I understand.
I am. I've been watching it for quite a while. I remember when you said after you hit 100 episodes, you're like, is this it? Like, how long can this show really go? And you've kept it very interesting, I must say.
I just had this thought the other day. Like, maybe I should end the show at 500 episodes.
I say keep it going. Like we were talking about before the show, you've got a certain amount of guests that are good every year. You just got to bring them back on and get like their fresh perspective on stuff. And then in between, you've got all these up-and-coming entrepreneurs. I think you're going to have an endless stream of entrepreneurs for as long as you want to do the show, because you have the new and upcutters, but you have the old wise guys. You bring them back every year, and there's a great show.
Yeah. I had like a mini existential thing last night because I was at home alone. My wife was gone. The kid was gone. I was in the empty house. I'm like, what am I doing? Maybe I should just write. Maybe I should just be a writer. Like had that like crazy moment. I was like
a midlife crisis.
I had like a total existential crisis for like 15 minutes because I'm watching The Godfather and I'm like hanging out at home alone.
Thinking about that sponsor you're gonna murder, put the horse's head in his bed.
Exactly, with the horse in the bed. And I'm just like, maybe I should just quit everything and write, because everybody was like really like. I got like a lot of praise over the weekend about the writing, the piece I wrote on the Tech Rats.
In like a couple
and
weeks,
like,
like
my God, Jason, you're such a great writer. And I was just like, am I missing my calling by doing all this entrepreneurial shit? Like maybe I need to be just a writer, whatever. Now it's like, no, I like doing all this other stuff, like.
Yeah, do it on the side.
I gotta be careful, like being this honest, because it's about 50 people are like, wait, you're quitting? Oh, don't quit. We need these jobs. Don't quit. Hello, don't quit, Jason. We're don't
it was just
I'm
a
not
moment.
gonna quit. I'm just being. I'm always trying to be honest with everybody about the show, and like. I feel like I'm good through 500 episodes. I'm guaranteeing right now I'm going to go to 500.
Well, then you got to find a replacement, because the show is much needed.
I know the show is much needed. I've got to set like a goal, and then I have to evaluate. So I'm setting the goal right now of 500 episodes, which will carry us through 2014, no problem, because we do 100 episodes a year. So I'm going to get to 500, and then I'm going to assess the future of This Week in Startups.
If you do want to find a replacement, I heard Tosh is right down the street. It would be amazing. Get Tosh in here.
Interviewing people, making fun of them. Oh,
yeah,
God,
he'll basically just rip us all new assholes, and it'll be really funny.
It'll be absolutely fantastic. All right, everybody go check out Mogul. I don't know if you're going to succeed or not, but I do think you have a good shot at it. I'll be honest. I think you're like 80% of the way there. I think it just has to become a movement, and you got to get those great restaurants.
Yep.
When you figure that out, when you get the best restaurants in there, and they put it at the bottom of their menu, that like, sign up here and 10% go to this specific one. Like that to me, if I'm the restaurant owner, if I could put on the bottom of my menu that if you're part of this program,
10% goes to
10% goes to this one around the corner. Ooh, that's just juicy.
And I think once we get that ability for them to change their cash back based on time of day, which is just a month away, I think that's when we can secure the best of the best.
All right, listen, Wistia, welcome to the program. Welcome to the family, Wistia. Everybody check out wistia.com/twist. Wistia, WISTIA.com/twist. Just like with Squarespace, remember I told you if you need a simple, beautiful website, think Squarespace. If you need simple, elegant, white label video, you just think Wistia. So when your friends tell you, I need to post video online, you're like, enough with the YouTube. You're going to be cluttered. It's going to be garbage. You're going to be lost in that just sea of gunk over at YouTube, which is fine. It's if you're making stupid cat videos, great. But if you want to have a classy, refined experience, Wistia is the way to go. So check out wistia.com and welcome to the program to my friends at Wistia. Thanks for supporting us. Of course, Mandrill, thank you for powering everything I do. Fantastic, fantastic product from the people who make MailChimp. Go to mandrill.com. Thank at Mandrill app and thank at Wistia. Thanks again, Gina, Brandis, everybody. And everybody follow TWiST Startups, and on Twitter and Facebook. Everybody follow at Launch. Everybody follow at Launch Ticker. Everybody follow at Jason. Thank you, Producer Gina. Thank you, Producer Brandis. Hey, thanks, Andrew. You're really crushing it on the Launch Ticker, and looks like we're going to hit sustainability with that product at Launch Ticker. Jade, Emily, Brandon with the events on lockdown. Love it. Demont, keeping the lights on. Sales guys, Luke and Simon. Well done. Well done, Master Simon. Well done, Luke. He's our rainmaker these days. I'm going to take him to dinner at the Battery again. I like Luke. And, of course, you can follow me at Jason, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.